Thanks for the support as a channel member, Stuart Welsh. Oh my goodness, the comments section on yesterday's video, James Maddison this, James Maddison that. I need to show you the comparisons. I don't normally look at the match screens during the intro. We are today. We need to get this one ironed out before we get into the video. So let's get into the squad. We're going to do some comparisons, some James Maddison comparisons. Yes, he does have a good star rating, 4-star player. He's a very good footballer, but he is 29 years old and has only played 12 times for England. So he's not a world-class player. Probably calls him a world-class player if we go on here, doesn't it? I can't even click the right button. What is going on? On here. Just a leading player. Right, comparison time. We're going to compare him with the other two attacking midfielders who are keeping him out of both this team and the England team. So, firstly, let's compare him with Dele Alli. There we go, Dele Alli. We're not comparing star ratings because star ratings are opinion. So it's the opinion of whatever coach is judging them. So we're forgetting star ratings. I know I don't normally do it, but we're going to go down, look at the attributes, and they're nicely set up on this nice little grid thing, which shows Dele Alli is better than James Maddison physically, at defending, mentally, aerially, not quite as good technically, but he's better at attacking. He's got the same vision and he's slightly slower. To me, that means Dele Alli wins five categories. Maddison wins 2 categories. They're equal on 1. 5-2 to Dele Alli. Dele Alli wins. Next player we're going to compare him with. Where's Gibbs White? There he is, Morgan Gibbs White. So Gibbs White, not quite as good at Maddison as defending, but he is better mentally, better in the air, the same technically, the same attacking, better vision, better speed, better physical. So Morgan Gibbs White beats James Maddison 5-1. James Maddison is the 3rd best attacking midfielder at the club. Case closed. Hello and welcome to Club 4, Part 3 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have a big Premier League game at home against Manchester United and a Champions League game at home against Genk. Since you were last with me, this is what we've been doing. Let's get the old LOLLUJO view on. We're going to have a little bit of LOLLUJO view. So we've been, it's mixed results. We were totally outclassed by PSG in the Champions League, but can I just show you the PSG team? This is a Paris Saint-Germain who've added Pogba, they've added Haaland, they've added Vinicius Jr., who was the other player I was looking to sign this summer when I was looking at Sancho. Sancho and Kane didn't turn up at all for that game. So yeah, we were poor there. We also got ourselves knocked out of the FA Cup by Arsenal. We've had a couple of decent results in the league. League-wise, we find ourselves 5th place after 6 games, 5 points behind top of the table Arsenal. But, I mean, Arsenal have had a perfect start. We're taking that with a pinch of salt. They're not going to keep that form up all year. So, realistically, a couple of points behind City, Everton, Norwich. We're above Chelsea. We're above Man United. We're roughly where we want to be at this stage. Jadon Sancho is 3rd on the goal scorers chart with 4 goals so far this season. But probably the most exciting thing that's happened has been the emergence of Orlando. He's made his debut for Brazil. He's scored his first goal for Brazil. He's burst into our team. He's got 3 goals from 1 start and 3 substitute appearances, plus another goal in the only cup game that he's played. And he's done a bit of a Mick Powell star rating wise as well. And he's now considered the best striker at the club. Greenwood 2nd, Kane behind him. Now, obviously, based on that intro, we don't completely rely on star ratings. It's going to take a little while for me to be fully convinced that Harry Kane shouldn't be starting games for us. But we've got a good one in the shape of Orlando, a proper 21-year-old Brazilian wonder kid. And that's with Mason Greenwood still not having played a game for Spurs because he's still recovering from injury. So the future is very bright for attacking football here at Tottenham. As you can see, tactics-wise, we have made a few tweaks to what we'd been using, just trying to shuffle this system around so that it suits these players a little bit better. Playing Harry Kane in his strongest position as a deep lying forward, which is something I did back in the Manchester United save on the beta, and it got the best out of Harry Kane. And it's not where I've used him for England, where he scored lots of goals, but I guess we're playing against stronger opposition than most games internationally. Equally, Sancho looks like he is better suited to an inverted winger role, so we're going to try him as that, even though he's had a great season so far. If it breaks him, we'll just switch him back to an inside forward. And we've also made Sessegnon the more attacking of the 2 wing backs, because he's basically a winger playing at left back. and then adjusted all of the other combinations in the team to accommodate that. So if Sessegnon's the attacking one, the covering centre-back swaps from right to left. We have our defensive midfielder swap from right to left. And yeah, we just generally shuffle a few bits around. So slightly changed shape. If we don't start getting some results out of this gegenpress against the real top teams, not tiki-taka, I'm thinking control possession might be where our future lies. We're training all three of them because we will experiment with them all. But control possession is something that I've enjoyed using in the past. So we might switch up. We've got a lot of very talented midfield players. So that one might be something that we do look into a little bit further down the line. But for today, we're trying our slightly tweaked gegenpress and hoping to get a result out of Manchester United. So we're going with Pickford in goal, a back four of Sessegnon, Banfalvi, Van Hoesten and Cassagna. Is that how you would say that? I'm assuming lasagna has the same ending, but then he's Belgian, not Italian. It could be Castagni. Who knows? I'm sure you lot will tell me. I'm not even going to try and say that guy's name because I got laughed at last time I tried. And Haidara in midfield, Sancho, Gibbs-White and Hudson-Odoi behind Kane up front. Let's get into the game and let's hopefully find a way to produce a result against a Manchester United team that have been utterly dominant throughout this entire save, pretty much. And look at the state of their team. Look at the actual state of that team. My word. And they've got our former boy Keith Crown in there as well, who's recovered from injury to play today. Well, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's put a decent side together there at Man United. I think he's the only real-life manager who survived to this point of the save as well. Lee Johnson is Arsenal manager, I just noticed, which, baffling. I do expect nothing but a win to keep this run of form going. Imagine being an Arsenal or a Spurs fan, and you've been mooching around for however many years, getting your international superstar managers, and then in one summer, in the same summer, Spurs appoint Kevin Chapman off of Barnsley, and Arsenal appoint Lee Johnson, who came via Birmingham. I don't know how you're feeling. Are you thinking, okay, we've accepted that Man United, Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, they're the big teams and we're just mid-table sides now? Or are you excited that you're going for young English managers? I think I'd be devastated. I'd be wondering, hang on, they got Pep Guardiola or this lot got Jurgen Klopp. Why have we got these completely untried at this level idiots coming in to manage us? I feel for you, North London football fans. Castagna's picked up an injury? It doesn't look like he's picked up. I think it's because he's been booked. We will tell him to ease off the challenges. Crown is giving Sessegnon problems. Interesting. I mean, with Crown and Dembele as the wide players, our fullbacks were always going to have a hard time, and they are both on yellow cards. It's been a very even but completely uneventful first half. I mean, none of these are, I guess, let's passionately say, I'm not happy. We've not been the better team. Go out there and give the fans their money's worth. Let's do it for the fans. That's probably the... It's not that that's the team talk I think is the best one to give in this circumstance. I think it was the most appropriate from the selection that I had. I would have liked to have said something along the lines of, you've done okay, but we really do need to not have a repeat of what happened against Paris Saint-Germain. We need to up our levels a little bit, and we've responded to that with an own goal. At least it wasn't Crown who scored, because it was Crown who was hovering. And that would have been very upsetting for Spurs fans if Keith Crown, on his first return to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, had scored a goal against us. I mean, this is terrible, messy defending. I think it might be. We're approaching Orlando o'clock, because he has been awesome whenever we've used him, and we are getting very close to him being our starting striker. We've got an equaliser though, and it's Van Hoesten, first goal of the season. It's a free kick floated over by Hudson-Odoi and headed in beautifully by Van Hoesten at the far post, and it's 1-1. We're back in it, and now really is the time to get Orlando on, to come on and be a difference maker in this situation. Why does it look like the game's still going on when it's paused? Right, we're going to take off Kane, bring on Orlando. We're going to take off Sancho, and is the comments section ready? James Maddison is coming on the left wing. Are we all okay? Oh, imagine if he scores. Oh, God. Oh, if he scores, I'm leaving the internet. I'll have another month off Twitter if he scores. Right, Crown from way out, and it's a good save from Pickford, who I may have made a little bit of a scapegoat in the last episode. He is still going to be my first choice keeper for the time being because he's still young and he's my first choice keeper for England as well. Obviously, we've got Francisco, but Francisco is young and has plenty of time. Here's Gibbs White, though, with a fantastic breakaway. He's got Orlando in the middle. He can't quite get past the defender and get his cross over, though. But we're showing signs of life. Let's get creative. Gibbs White flicks onto Hudson-Odoi, who, I mean, he got it past De Gea and it's skidding around in the 6-yard box, and that might be the argument where Harry Kane would have been handy there, because that's the one thing. Orlando's not a poacher. He's like a Thierry Henry style striker is what I've seen of him so far. Not really a hovering around in the 6-yard box to tuck stuff like that. Like Crown's having a nightmare, and it's wonderful. Right, final substitution. We've got plenty of options, but it's picking the right ones. What I really want is a proper crunching midfield player, and we don't really have it. Fotheringham might become that man. I know I've played him there for England. He is a good box-to-box midfielder. And I just want someone in there just to crunch, just to smash through people. I want a Roy Keane or a Patrick Vieira, that kind of midfielder. A proper box-to-box midfielder. And Fotheringham might become that man, even though he is officially a centre-back. And we are a bit light on centre-backs. Despite signing one in the summer, we let 2 go. We've got one who plays at right-back all the time. If we have another one playing in midfield, we literally have no backup centre-backs. Here is Fotheringham. Looking up, looking for the forward pass, finds Hudson-Odoi. He's got Orlando and Gibbs White ahead of him, but instead finds Sessegnon, who skips past his man. That was superb from Sessegnon, and he scored a first goal of the season. That's the first time we've seen him for Spurs look as good as he did for England at the World Cup. And with 10 minutes to go, it's Tottenham 2, Manchester United 1. And if we can hold on, this is an enormous result against the best team in the country by miles. That was excellent. That's our left back doing that, boys and girls. Lovely, lovely stuff. And I would love to, I mean, look at that. Keith Crown's having the worst game of his career. Oh, James Maddison's playing. Gravenberch, there you go. That's as good as you're going to get out of me. Plays it to Hudson-Odoi, who controls it brilliantly and almost scores. And here's Crown. He's up against Sessegnon. Sessegnon just, yeah, you're not having it. You should have stayed here, you idiot. Might drop him from the England team. So I can't. He's our best young player. Sessegnon plays it forward, looking for Maddison. Maddison with the chance to make the comment section go wild. Gibbs White to Hudson-Odoi, who shoots from range. Fotheringham to Castagna, who very, very nearly. There's 3 minutes of added time still to play. We just need to see it out, and I think we have. And that is a big, big result. And James Maddison played, so you're all happy too. Yay for football. Let's go and play Ghent. No changes for the Ghent game then, as much as I am tempted to do some rotation, but having lost our first Champions League group game, I feel like we probably need to get a comfortable win on the books, and then we can look to rotate a little bit more in this competition once we've done that, because the last thing we need is another slip up here, because then it becomes very difficult to get out of a group that also has Benfica in it. So we absolutely have to make sure we win both games against Ghent and probably both against Benfica, or a win and a draw. We've got to be looking for second in the group behind PSG, after the way they absolutely outclassed us in that first game, which of course you didn't get to see, but I'll make sure you get to see the next game against PSG just to give you an idea of just how good they are, what other level they are on compared to us, because it's insane. Gibbs White wins the ball back in midfield, looking for options ahead of him, but no one's trying to tackle him, so he just keeps running. Sessegnon now, he's going to be a little bit more direct with it, and has a shot, and very nearly opens the scoring for Spurs with an excellent piece of attacking play. As we are playing our first Champions League game on video in the series as well, we need to discuss something, which we'll discuss after this highlight. Sessegnon skips past his man again. That was absolutely superb from Sessegnon. What a player he is. We need to get him in the team on the wing, but there's no room. How do we get him in? We've got two world-class wingers in Sancho and Hudson-Odoi who we can't drop either of them. As rotation becomes more of a thing later in the year, we have got a very good young English left-back. I think his name is David Kidd, off the top of my head, who needs some game time at left-back. So Sessegnon will get some games playing a little bit further forward as we rotate things later in the season as well. Castagna opens the scoring 1-0 on 15 minutes. And hopefully that is the first of many as we drift and float towards a comfortable victory, which is absolutely what we need out of this game. But on the topic of Champions League victories, I do think we need to discuss the series as a whole, because obviously I've made it to a top side who are in the hunt for the Champions League really, really early in Non-League to Legend this year. And in the past, we've traditionally ended Non-League to Legend upon a Champions League win, but we could potentially end up with a series that's less than 10 seasons in length, which doesn't really feel long enough for the most popular series on my channel. Non-League to Legend is the big one. Firstly, I enjoy making it, you enjoy watching it, but secondly, got bills to pay. I can't survive on Born Alone for 9 months. So, Kane with a lovely finish there to make it 2-0. So my thinking is, as and when we win the Champions League with Tottenham, I mean, if it takes us 10 years to do, firstly, we won't stay at Tottenham for 10 years, constantly failing. They'll either sack me or I'll move on through sheer frustration. But if it takes 10 years, then we probably still will end with a Champions League win. But working on the assumption that we win the Champions League within the next 2-3 years, I think my plan from there is to just continue the series, but leave Spurs and go and do a little bit of a European tour, world tour type thing, similar to the idea of the Expedition of Gold that we've done in the past as a kind of add-on series, but it'll just be part of Non-League to Legend, because I was pondering this the other day, and the whole purpose of Non-League to Legend, although we have some very specific rules, the big rule that all the little rules feed off of is that Non-League to Legend should be as realistic as possible. We're looking for realism. Another goal from Sancho there, his 5th of the season, 3-0 to Spurs. This is what we wanted from today. So if we're looking for 100% realism, I'm, 42, 43 years old in the game. If I win the Champions League aged 45 or 46, in reality, I'm not retiring at that point. I guess you've got the example of maybe someone like Kenny Dalglish, who did have success relatively young and then just stopped, but he's very much the exception rather than the rule. And of course, he did come back years later and do a bit more managing. But my thinking is, I'd be more likely to do the Bobby Robson method and have my success in England, have my spell manage in England, but then just use that reputation I've built up to just go and have a lot of fun managing interesting clubs in interesting countries and travelling around the world, living in hot countries with loads of chairs. Maybe some outdoor chairs would be a nice treat. And just do a little bit of a, let's see how high up the Hall of Fame we can get. I'm not going to be aiming to get to the top of the Hall of Fame, because ultimately that's really boring to watch, because it does involve just winning everything over and over again. And I don't want the series to get to that point where we're winning everything over and over again. Because it's boring to watch. But once we've finished the job with Spurs, whether that is through failure or through success, either way, I don't expect to be at Spurs more than 4 or 5 years. And at that point, I think I'm going to bring James Maddison on here to, just in case anyone's upset at what I'm saying. I've cheered them up by bringing Maddison on in his best position, the position he's third best at. He's third best at the club at. It's his best position, though. There you go. We can see Maddison as an attacking midfielder. But yeah, I'm thinking we're just going to aim for a typical 15, 20, 25 season career and just do a realistic career with me retiring at a realistic age, having managed loads of clubs, and just make it more of a realistic story rather than the goal is win the Champions League, then stop. Because thinking about it, that's not very realistic at all, is it? Let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments. The alternative is stop it and do something completely different. But the problem is, the majority of you prefer this. So doing something completely different, although it could be fun, won't necessarily get the same amount of views, which is an important part of the decision-making process. This series is super popular. It's why it's the 4 o'clock slot. It's the one I push most. Born is the one I've got there for a little bit of fun. When that finishes, we could go and do something like the MLS or a custom database or do something a little bit fun. But I think in this slot, this needs to be my mainstream slot, my popular slot, the one that pays the bills. And yeah, I think not artificially lengthening non-league to legend, but not just arbitrarily stopping the story because we won a certain competition. I think there's a strong argument for it, and I'm sure you lot, my trusted comment section, who I like to have my lovely back and forth with, I'm sure you'll give me your thoughts and let me know how you'd like to see me proceed with that. And I'm hoping you like the idea of keeping the series going. But that does bring us to the end of this episode. We have now picked up our first Champions League win. And I think for tomorrow's video, I'm just going to go and we'll get as far as the PSG game. I said I'd show you it. So I guess we'll show you it. We'll do Wolves in the Premier League and Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League. It gets us another half dozen league games and also gets us to a point where we've played both the Benfica ties. Do you want to see one? There's too many games. If I show you one of those as well, we'll do the two Benfica ones offline, and we'll hopefully be in a situation where if we get a result at Paris Saint-Germain, we qualify from the group with a game to spare. That would be the perfect situation. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos, and thank you very much for watching.